So my name is Valerie Vicario. I live in South Jersey, and I visited the Welty House on the first weekend in December of 2022.
And what room did you stay in?
The Texas room.
So it's from right out the gate, you noticed something was a little bit up. What happened when you guys first arrived?
When we first arrived, the lock wouldn't work. We couldn't get in. We tried over and over and over, and I'm shaking the doorknob, the door, so that somebody would let us in. I messaged Melanie, and she says there's no reason why that lock shouldn't work. I'll send somebody. Somebody comes, they let us in. They're like, that's just weird. I don't understand what's wrong with the lock. It was working fine. I don't understand it. They come in, they help us carry our suitcase in, and then they leave. And I immediately hear people talking upstairs, rustling around, a doorknob moving like it's going to open the door upstairs and come down the steps. And I'm thinking, well, why didn't you let us in? Like, we were pulling on the door trying to get in for half an hour, and you're clearly up there. And I thought that was rude. I kept hearing the doorknob, and I'm wondering, well, I kept going out into the hallway, and I'm like, are they ever coming down? I mean, they're like ready to come down, but they never do. I hear them walk toward the door. I could hear the footsteps. I hear talking. And in my mind, I envisioned a young man. So I guess that's what the voice sounded like to me. A younger guy. I'm in my 50s. I was envisioning someone in their late 20s, early 30s, that like a younger person. And I thought it was laughter that I heard, but I'm not really sure if it was just talking. And a lot of dragging of furniture, but it sounded to me like when you sit at a kitchen table and you kick out your chair, you're getting up. It sounded like that a lot. And I really didn't think much of it. We went out, we went on a ghost tour that night. We came back. We got into bed, and I think it was my husband went outside to have a cigarette or something. And then I heard rustling around upstairs. So I knew the people were back. In my mind, I'm thinking, oh, they're back. But then it started to get a little bit loud, and it was kind of late. It was like 12:30 at night, and I was tired, and I was thinking, oh my God, I can't believe that we're staying at a place where the people are that loud upstairs. So it was basically at that point, the chair again, the furniture. I kept picturing like a wooden kitchen table and a wooden chair moving back and forth, and rustling. It's like a rustling around, like a moving around kind of a sound. I really didn't hear the doorknob at that point. But at 6 a.m, when my husband got up and went outside, he went to get coffee or something. It was still a little bit dark when he left. So I'm not really sure what time it gets light, but it was still a little dark. And I could hear people moving around up there again. But this time I kept hearing a click, 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 like he was trying to light a flint lighter. That's what it reminded me of, a flint lighter. Over and over and over, I kept hearing it. And when Matt got back, I was telling him about that. I'm like, that guy is like trying to light a lighter over and over and over. He's like, I hope he doesn't burn the house down. Then when we went to breakfast, we were told to come early to breakfast the next day, since there was no one staying in the Welty house but us. And that's when I asked, well, did the people leave this morning then? Did they leave before breakfast? And Melanie told us that no one was staying in the house but us. And that's when I realized it was kind of creepy what I was hearing. It was kind of weird. I tried to avoid the house that day, even though I was telling myself none of this really bothered me. I think it kind of did, because I was really avoiding the house. So when we came back from our battlefield tour, Matt went in the Welty house to use the bathroom, and I ran over to the brick house. And when I met him outside, he came running out, and he said, I can't stay here tonight. I just saw something. And I said, what did you see? And he said, up at the top of the steps, that's where the 2-bedroom doors were. It might be 3. Come out of one, go down a couple steps and up another.
Yep.
He said it was a dark shadow that came down the steps and went up and into the other, and it had like a cloudy haze around it. And it was like long and thin. So But he saw it and then ran in and used the bathroom. He saw it on his way in. He said he had to go so bad. He said, and that knew that I was in there alone. It knew I was scared because it was louder than it ever was. Now, when you're scared, things sound louder. You know what I mean? You're definitely, your mind plays tricks on you. So I thought it was pretty loud the whole time we were there. It might have been the first time he realized because he knew what it was. I don't think that he paid as much attention to it or noticed it as much. But he said it was very loud. The feet, the boots back and forth and all that. So anyway, we left, we went out shopping. I really didn't even pay much attention when he said I saw something. I just ignored it and we just went out. I didn't want the day to be ruined over it. So we went out shopping. When we came back, I said to him, okay, I'm going to get my camera ready on my phone. When you open that door, I'm going to take pictures of that hallway up the steps and see if I see anything. So that's where I took a couple pictures. And then I looked briefly and I was like, nothing. And he went into the Texas room and I stayed out in the hallway a minute or two looking at those pictures. And while I was doing that, that's when I heard that noise that later Matt told me he thinks was a bullet. Because the guy on our ghost tour said that people hear that all the time in Gettysburg. And it sounded like after a firework booms, it has like that sizzle. And it was sizzling so loud in my ear. And then it made like a kind of a noise. But it was so, I jumped because it felt like someone did it in my ear. It was, I wear my hair down like this. It was like up in my ear. It was very loud and it just gave me a weird sensation, like on my neck. Like I was like, what was that? And I saw there was a radiator there in the hallway. So I just said to myself, oh, it was probably that, and walked in the room and we packed our stuff and couldn't get out of there fast enough, really. And we left. So later on when we were driving home, I was telling Matt about that noise and he said, that's what the guy on the ghost tour was saying. People, it's a bullet. That's what they sounded like years ago. So maybe it was, I don't really know. I mean, that's what I heard. And that was pretty much the extent.
Yeah, and so you kind of were envisioning like when you were there, it just kind of sounded like two young guys,
Yeah.
hanging out, maybe like playing a game of cards or something around a table.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then
I thought definitely heard talking. I didn't hear talking that much after we initially got there. I heard a lot of the talking and Matt heard the talking too. That was when we first got there. After that, it was a lot of moving around. But after that, it was also midnight and later. And then again at, when it was still dark in the morning.
And did you say that when you were on your way home, you looked back at the photos from the stairs and noticed something with them?
Yes, when I got home, not on my way home, when I got home, I was in bed that night. We were in bed at our own homes. There was nothing to be freaked out about. And I'm looking at those photos. I'm like, there's really, let me see. I didn't see anything in the hallway, but, when I was standing there and I'm looking at those photos and I'm like, oh my gosh, it looks like a shadow, like a cloudy shadow, but let me clean my phone lens, the screen on my phone, because maybe it's that. So I did. And then I made it a little bit bigger and hit the button because it's a live picture and I could literally see it trying to walk up the stairs.
Oh,
I couldn't believe it. I woke Matt up and I'm like, you can't believe this. We did capture something. There was something standing there in the hallway.
Wow.
And I really think he shot at me. And because I found out later that's where the sharpshooters were staying during the war. I really do think that these poor souls relive this experience over and over and over, and how sad that is. It made me really sad.
Hey, thank you for sharing this with us. I'm sure other people have stayed at the Welty House and had similar experiences, and hopefully they'll share those as well now that they've seen, other people doing this. But I really appreciate you sharing this and taking the time.
Yes, great. It's been great.